You have some
Okay.
wonderful new music out right now, but let's start at the beginning. How do you tend to describe the music that you make? Is there a way you describe the sound of it?
I mean, I've attempted different things, but really it's just rock and roll music. I mean, the new term that you would use would be Americana or roots rock, or the kind of newer terms. But that to me, when I listen to that, the stuff that's like in those just, in those playlists and those genres, it just sounds to me like rock and roll music anyways. So I just circle back to just calling it rock and roll. Like in my mind, if you put on a 70s Stones album, you got all that stuff happening. You got country tunes, you got folk tunes, you got rock, funk tunes. And so, I mean, yeah, I'm not trying to like recreate the Mona Lisa here.
You're a
Yeah.
very talented guitarist. Who were some of the musical influences you had when you were growing up?
Guitar wise, Steve Cropper, Otis Redding's guitar player. Big fan of Steve Cropper. Um, Jimmy Page, Jimi Hendrix, the Jimmies, Keith Richards. Those are the four big ones when I was a kid. And then I really got into like Hubert Sumlin, who was Howlin' Wolf's guitar player, Muddy Waters guitar playing and stuff like that. But a lot of the Motown guitar players that no one knows their names, those guys in the background, the cohesive three-part guitar players. And then as we move forward, a guy like Dickie Betts of the Allman Brothers. I'm a huge Dickie Betts fan. I know people usually say Dwayne Allman, and I love Dwayne Allman, but Dickie had like these great melodic lines, and he came up with a lot of those harmony things that he did with Dwayne. And I love his songwriting too. So there you go.
Growing up, were there other artists, not just guitarists, that really played a
Mm-hmm.
role in the sound of the music you currently make?
I'm Man, I from an early age, my mom would just like school me on music, like, and I'd listen to the Beatles and Otis and Elvis and like 50s. Like she every morning I woke up to the station we have here in Toronto. It was called 1050 Chum AM, and if anyone's old enough to remember it, all it played was 50s and 60s and 70s music. So I'd wake up and that'd be my wake up alarm. I'd hear her scream down the hallway, but she'd have it blasting in the kitchen, and it would be, I'd wake up to Chubby Checker or the Four Tops or Tom Jones, or just really great music every morning, and it just seeped into my brain. And side note, my sister is not a musician, but and I think the reason why is because her bedroom is a little farther from the kitchen. I don't think she heard the music as loud as I did. Like every morning, I was like inundated with like loud, fantastic music. Like, thank my mom for that, for really nourishing. So I mean, a lot of those, all just all that good music from back in the day is like fed everything. Huge Beatles fan, huge Stones fan, all the Stax Volt artists and Motown artists, and a lot of blues and yeah, a lot of country artists too. My uncle was a big country fan. I got my my Willie Jennings hat on. I love Willie Nelson. Hank Williams. I love the old country guys.
All
Yeah,
good
so I mean,
stuff.
all of that, all good stuff. It's all rock and roll music, right?
You have the new single Hang On out now. Talk about creating this song and the
Mhm.
story behind it.
To be honest, so I messed around in different tunes, like open tunings for guitar, which are like more like blues tunings, like that old blues artists would use. Because when you strum it open, it's already a chord. So I'm talking to you as if you don't know guitar, and I'm assuming that you don't. And I apologize if that
Don't
is wrong.
assume,
Uh,
please assume.
yeah, so like with open tunings, it's really easy to accompany yourself because you got a drone behind it, so kind of like a bass note happening. So you don't have to work as hard to cover the sound. If that makes any sense. So I love playing around with those kinds of things, and after playing guitar for so long, you kind of get stuck in ruts of like your fingers fall in the same spots. And when you open tune your guitar, you can't do that because it changes the positions of all the chords and stuff. So kind of, you fall on happy accidents, for lack of a better description. And that's just me like riffing around on some like old blues. If you slow the song down about the half tempo it is right now. It's just it's like an old blues song. And yeah, if I had a guitar here, I could show it.
You
Yeah,
have
this one's
several
it.
apparently right at your fingertips.
So there's so the main song is, so that's the speed I play it at. But if you play it, right, it would just be an old blues song. So just you take stuff like that, you mess around with it, you add your flavor to it, and that song just kind of fell out that way. I just kind of wrote itself, and I
Those are the
wrote
best
it
kind of
about,
songs.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And I just kind of wrote it like about a past experience with some friends, and but the general theme is just letting go of things that no longer serve you, people and things and situations. You hang on to that stuff for too long, and it just kind of derails the good stuff from coming in.
What kind of response have you been getting from your fans then? Are people reaching out and telling you how they relate to letting go and hanging on?
Not so much that, just more like digging the riffs and digging the rock and tune of it, and people love the chorus. I feel like there's a little disconnect with people that, maybe that's wrong, but more so with like singer-songwriter stuff and folk stuff, because I play in those worlds as well, and I know people in those worlds, and those kind of crowds tend to discuss lyrical content a bit more than per se rock fans. Not too much. Like you're not like ACDC, you shook me all night long. You're not like getting into what the lyrics are about. It's fodder for the big riff and the chorus, right? So it doesn't mean that rock songs don't have any meaning to them, of course, but it's generally not something that kind of comes up in conversation with rock music fans too much.
Okay. You
Yeah.
talked about how this one just kind of came to you, but do you have a typical way you write songs? Do you need to have a beat or a little riff that you mentioned before you can craft lyrics around it? Or is there no particular way you always write a song?
There's no rhyme or reason. There's different ways of looking at it. Keith Richards has this great analogy where he says it's like a big radio station's playing and you're just tuning the dial until you find the song you want to listen to. And like it's like an antenna reaching out to the heavens, right? And I've been writing songs since I was a little kid, and it's always a different way. Sometimes it's humming something. Sometimes it's playing, on a guitar, walking down the street, and like a little drum beat enters your head, or someone says a phrase to you that sounds kind of cool, or maybe it's a little weird, and it, sparks a riff idea. But I don't have like a set way to do it. I kind of just, there's people that are more, they work harder at it, and they'll sit there and they'll work on songs, and that's not really my style per se. I kind of like sit around and just let it happen, let inspiration hit, which might sound lazy, but I do work on it. Like I sit around with my instruments, and I feel like if you don't put yourself in that spot, then the stuff doesn't come anyways. So you kind of have to have your instrument with you and kind of be in that mindset to allow those things to come in. And then you get like little melodies and little ideas and little riffs on guitar. And thankfully, we have these wonderful devices that I'm talking to you on, and we can record voice memos, of which I have thousands, and I'm sure other musicians do as well. Which is a lot better than back in the day when you. I remember calling like my own phone and leaving voicemails on my answer machine, like back in the day, just so I wouldn't forget like a riff or a melody or something I was singing. But now we have, we can record it on our phone and keep it and work on it later. Sometimes you get to bring them into your computer, and you can, I got my little studio here set up, and you can just throw it into like whatever DAW you're working with, and yeah, just copy it note for note and recreate it. But yeah, to answer your question there's no definitive way for myself. I'm sure there's other people that would disagree, but
How much of a hand then do you have on the production side of the music you make?
So I record everything like bed tracks, like drums. You need a live space for that. So drums, and I'll usually cut bed tracks for guitar and drums in a professional studio. So just cut them live off the floor. So me and a drummer and an engineer. And once I have that, then I bring everything home, and then I add all the rest of it, all the vocals, the bass, the percussion, the little instruments that you want to throw in, kazoos and whatnot, whatever, mandolins and things that you feel would benefit the track, pianos and stuff like that. I add all that at home. I make it sound as good as I can, but I do send it out to a professional to mix it. It gets to a certain point where I'm like, there's so much involved with mixing a song, and it's just not something I'm like, I can mix it for myself, but to release it into the world, it needs a bit more of a little bit of a polish to it. So I just send it out to a friend who's my producer, Andrew McCready, and he just mixes the tracks I send him. We bat it back and forth 2 or 3 times, and it's usually pretty fast to agree on the sound, and then we master it, and away we go. It's pretty simple process for myself, anyways.
I know you have Hang On Now, and it's sort of a prelude to either an EP or an album coming here shortly? Question mark?
Yeah, it'll be a whole album. Yeah, it'll be a whole album. I'm still the only holdback is the title of the album. I'm kind of tossing around a few ideas and stuff. And I have one, two. Hang On's the third single off the album. I had Twice the Price, which came out late last year, and then earlier this year was Love Is a Fool's Game, and right now is Hang On. I have another single coming out in September, and I'm hopefully that's when the album will drop. And there's another four, so it'll be like an eight or nine song album. I like shorter albums. I don't like 15 track albums and those really long ones. I'm more of a fan. Like eight is a good number. Nine, I kind of feel like every great album has only that. Like Zeppelin 4 only has 8 songs, so
Well,
hard.
uh, will you be performing live here in the near future? Do you have some tour workings on to go along with this album?
I do. I play. So I play a lot, or a lot of gigs around town. I'm always playing. Um, Setting up tours more for next year after the album drops. But I'm always, if you're in Toronto, I'm always playing around. I'm always every weekend I'm out somewhere playing. It's like cover gigs, but you intersperse it with your original music. And but yeah, I'm always gigging, and I also play with another band. My friend, fantastic singer songwriter. His name is Matty Leon. I play with him and his band as well. Um, and I get to just be a musician in that band, which is fantastic. I liken it to he's a very like Paul Simon, Billy Joel kind of singer songwriter, and I just get to hang back and I play bass and guitar in his band, and it's fantastic. So it's a real fun. It's fun not having the playing a show where the weight of the music isn't on you.
The focus is on you. A little less the
Yeah,
focus on you.
yeah, less focused, but I still get the music is still fantastic, so I enjoy it.
Absolutely.
I'm having fun playing. Yeah. But both are great. Yeah, both ways are great, and yeah, yeah.
Any chance for Nelson or any other artists to collab with you on your upcoming album?
On this one, I my buddy Matty plays a lot of piano and stuff on the record. Any kind of organs or piano that you hear, it's him playing. So he's on there. Collabs on this record, not so much. Yeah, this one was a pretty bare bones rock record. Uh, like everything was cut live with just me and the drummer, so it's really got a weight to it. But the next one, the next album that I already have, about 12 songs ready for, is definitely open for a bit more collaboration. It's a bit more of a funky record, soulful record. So yeah, definitely.
Who's a dream collab for you? Maybe Santana at some point?
Ooh.
Slash?
I feel like Slash is he's overdone it.
He's done a
He's
lot of collabs.
not he's done a lot of collabs, and he just put out a new album full of
Yes.
collabs, right? Yeah. If I would do a collab, I would probably not be someone famous. It would be like someone that I know who's a great musician and that I just love their stuff. It'd probably be the way for me. Although it probably wouldn't benefit my career as much as Santana or Slash. But yeah.
We're focused on what you want, who you feel it would be somebody who you would love to.
Man, a dream would be Paul McCartney.
Well, one
You know what I mean?
of the
Like
greatest
I
guitarists, musicians in ever to exist in our world.
yeah, like man, that would, I could die peacefully after that. Musically, I couldn't die physically because I got my family. But like after that, I could just hang up the instruments and be like, I did something with Paul McCartney. I'm good. I'm set for life. That would be pretty badass. Yeah, I don't know how you would come down from that. Like Paul McCartney.
There's no other way to go. You
Yeah,
can't go up or there's just nothing.
you can't go up.
You probably wouldn't
That's
even like
man.
function after that. You'd have to somehow get someone to reality check you again and get your
Yeah, I can't even imagine how I would feel. It would be unreal. A person that I've looked up to since as long as I can remember as a child, who my mom was a fan of, who my dad's a fan of, who I'm still a fan of to this day, who they're still fans of to this day. Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah. So yeah, if I could choose and if he would say yes, it would be Paul McCartney.
I'll see what I can do.
Thanks. Reach out to his people, leave a message. I'll get my people.
We'll
I'll
do
talk to your
lunch,
people.
something like that.
Do lunch.
What would you like to say, Nelson, to everyone who are fans and supporters of the incredible music that you make, that people are fans of the
Uh,
wonderful work you do?
thanks for listening, and I appreciate all the feedback. And yeah, I mean, I do it for me first and foremost, but I also do it for you. So it really does mean a lot when you send messages and you say nice things, and it just means a lot when you just dig it. Like I'm cool if you just bobbing your head to it. That's good enough for me. And yeah, just thank you.